Welcome to another episode of the No Ceilings Podcast. I'm Tyler Metcalf, joined as always by Tyler Rucker. Rucker, we're about a week removed now from the NBA draft. How are we feeling?
This episode always feels weird because we have a little bit of like a delay between podcast episodes with me and you. So I always feel like, okay, it's been way too long since I talked to Metcalf, but feeling good. Recharge the batteries a little bit. Feel like I slept more in the last week than I have probably in the last month. So that's always nice. I'm good. I'm getting the itch now. Been watching some FIBA play. Me and you have texted on the side. It's not as awesome as usual, but there's still some intriguing stuff to get excited about. I'm looking for any reason to just fill my void before Summer League gets here. How are you doing, Metcalf? Everything good?
Thriving. Just, the joys of grad school midterms with work and closing on a house, just the best of times. But we got Summer League next week. Like you said, we got FIBA play, which hasn't been my favorite basketball experience of the year, but it's still basketball, so it's better than nothing. How are you filling your time now that we don't have just hours and hours of tape to watch?
A lot of crazy stuff. Trying to do as many pods as I can just to kind of talk about the draft to fill that. Looking into getting a new car for the fam, which is always a fun process. My truck is falling apart, so kind of having to say goodbye while also saying hello. So, I thought it was going to be peaceful after the draft, and instead life just said, hey, like here's a different, type of chaos for you. But it's great. It's kind of, made me grow up really quick. And now I'm more ready for Vegas than I've ever been in my life. So, I'm getting prepared to launch a couple of big pieces at No Ceilings, 2 pieces I love to do that are, I'm going to do kind of a draft grades piece that's not draft grades because I can't stand draft grades. I vented to you before we hit record. And then I'm going to do a TV viewer's guide kind of style for Summer League with going over all the rosters. I'm telling everyone listening, like, I'm very excited Metcalf's going to Summer League. This is going to be your first Summer League, right?
It is.
I'm so excited for this year's class, not just because Victor, but like the sophomores that are coming back. Like these rosters are going to be jacked up. It's very, very exciting. So I know there's already some fan bases. Like I saw some Kings fans were very passionate. Like, why is Keegan Murray playing? Just calm down. Sometimes those guys get put on the roster for one game and then they shut them down. But a lot of really exciting names this year. We got like Blake Wesley, Malachi Branham, guys like that, where it's going to be kind of like a remember me and going up against the rookies. It's going to be a really fun year.
Yeah, I can't wait. I believe the whole crew is going to be you, Corey, Nick, Paige, and myself will be out there. So listeners, if you see us, say hi. We'd love to. Yeah. We'd love to meet up with any and all of you. Should be a blast. Today, we're just going to kind of give our reactions to the draft that happened last week. Now that we're a week removed, we can be a little less reactionary, a little more level-headed, a little more optimistic than maybe we were on draft night. We're just going to kind of run through team by team, pick by pick. And then at the end, we're going to go over the draft stock game results. Pretty pleased with it. Just a little teaser. All right, but let's just dive into these reactions. We'll go team by team here. Alphabetical order. I think these results are all right given the absurd insanity of the trades. If I get one of these players wrong and on their wrong team, I apologize. But Atlanta Hawks with the 15th pick, they took Kobe Buffkin. The 39th pick, they ended up with Mohamed Gay. The 46th pick, Seth Lundy.
Yeah, I'm going over my rankings because I want to make sure we're correct too. So that's what I've got. Me and you talked on the air. For everyone that did join us for the draft show, that was awesome. We had a blast on that. I vented my frustrations about the trade processing of reporting. Not going to go down there anymore. I got it out of my system. So thanks everyone for bearing with me. The more I thought about this haul for Atlanta, I like what they did. I really did. Like, I think they did a good job of getting some good value with Kobe Buffkin. That roster is probably going to look much different after free agency, and there might be some trades on the horizon. I know there's been plenty of DeAndre Hunter buzz. Maybe Clint Capella's on the way out. We don't know.
Collins already gone.
Yeah, John Collins. Finally, congratulations, John Collins. The trade rumor is gone. I think Atlanta did a good job of not trying to reach for like a position of need because that roster is all over the place. They just took the best player available. And, I'm still curious to see if the Murray Trae Young combo is going to work. And a lot of people were like, why did Atlanta get nothing for John Collins? It's like, there's extensions on the horizon for this team that they got to have to figure out. I think Murray's got one more year and then he's in line for a big extension. So getting Bufkin, I think it's always difficult with some teams to we're like, they have two guards. Why would you draft another one? It's like, you need depth. You need pieces to rotate. Like we always say, you get to the playoffs, like it's not the starting five. You need 8 guys that you can run around. So I liked Bufkin in the first. Are you warming up on it? Or are you still kind of annoyed with the fit?
I'm just annoyed for the sake of Kobe Bufkin. But from a team building standpoint, from an Atlanta Hawks standpoint, I think it makes a lot of sense. I think he's more of that kind of combo 2 guard than either Trae or DeJounte naturally are. I think he can play off of or with or without either of them. If DeJounte Murray leaves in free agency after next year, I believe he's a 2024 free agent. So next offseason, this time, if DeJounte Murray goes somewhere else, then I think Kobe Bufkin can either slide in as that kind of backup 1-2 off the bench or move into the starting lineup as that 2 guard. Obviously, depending on if AJ Griffin makes another jump, what happens with DeAndre Hunter, there are a lot of pieces that can be moved around, but I think he just provides a lot of versatility to that backcourt overall, both in the short term and long term. I really came around on the Mohamed Gay pick too.
I'm warming up on it. I really am. Go ahead.
I was just a little lower on him in my rankings, and just looking back on it, he's one of those guys where it's like, this should be someone that I'm a lot higher on. And he's skilled. The shot looks okay. The percentages weren't there, but we've had some of his teammates and guys who played against him that told us they think he's going to be able to shoot it just fine. Relatively new to basketball, really good kid, hard worker. So I think he provides a nice kind of versatility and kind of a fire and ice or offset to what Capella and Okongwu provide. So if things go right, it wouldn't shock me if he has a Naz Reid-esque development curve and impact in the future. I thought that was just a really interesting kind of home run swing for them. And then just Seth Lundy, just wing depth. You need wings in this league. And if they're moving off DeAndre Hunter, they moved John Collins already. Who knows what they're kind of doing in the next year or so, but could be some long-term insurance.
Mohamed Gay definitely seems like a guy that, it is a smart, intelligent second-round pick to be like, we're not rushing this process at all. I feel like he just need reps. There's going to be a lot of guys in the second round that I think are going to do wonders with some G League run.
Yeah.
And then I think Lundy's the sneaky wild card, might find a way to stick in on that roster early and carve a roll out in the rotation. So I like what they did. I really do. Like, Mohamed Gay was a name that, like you said, Metcalf, I feel like we talked to some players and they were all praising him. Mm-hmm. It's just the consistency, I think, with him. I think he's got the tools that you want to develop, but he's just going to need some time to let it all come together. And I think with Atlanta, that they have the luxury of kind of letting him probably go get some run in the G League and work on it and get reps. So I think it was a good haul. It was one of those, like, you got done with the draft, went back and looked at it, and you're like, okay, this is a lot more intriguing than my first glance.
All right, moving on to the Boston Celtics, who, despite drafting about 7 different players and making a billion trades, came away with just Jordan Walsh at the 38th pick.
Yeah, was very frustrating because I got excited about 3 different picks. As a Celtics fan, I've bought into Walsh very quickly because I know what they're drafting him for. Like, I listened to Brad Stevens talk about it, and he's just like, we buy the upside long-term, and he's special defensively, which he is. And they're going to need a guy that's a hustle guy because Marcus Smart's out of town. I'm not expecting Walsh to come in and do that right away as a rookie, but down the road, you might be looking at like, okay, this is our defensive stopper. This is our Lou Dort, if you want to say it that way, where it's like, Walsh is coming in for energy and to play outstanding defense with this team. So I know it's a little bit interesting, like the path they went to get him, but I do think it's smart when you looked at it and you see like, oh, how many picks the Celtics got with some of these trades back. They saved some salary cap with moving out of the first, but it's just going to be a wait and see. And that's why I'm never a big fan of draft grades right away, because like Jordan Walsh's grade right now and in 3 years is probably going to be drastically different because they're going to allow him to develop.
Yeah, and I think something that's really interesting with him is I kind of wanted to see him go back to school for another year.
Yes.
I just think that would have really helped him take on a bigger role, maybe develop the shot a little better. But it's kind of tough to envision him going to a better landing spot in terms of developing and being put in a place to succeed than Boston. And I think that's going to be a place where he's not going to be thrown into the fire early. I'm assuming he's going to get plenty of time in the G League. He's going to be put in positions to succeed. So at the 38th pick, I kind of end up liking it. I almost wish they would have just kept Colby Jones and James Najee, because I was just a lot higher on both those guys. But long-term thinking, roster building flexibility, cap situation, all of that kind of stuff, I get it. It's more of an upside swing. I think he was a 5-star. I believe he was a 5-star recruit coming into college. Guys like Nathan and Maxwell at No Ceilings were really, really high on him. He showed some passing stuff. Some people buy the shot because of the mechanics. I'm a little more skeptical because of the touch. I think that's a little harder to fix, but we'll see. Okay, Brooklyn Nets came away with Noah Clowney at the 21st pick, Dariq Whitehead at the 22nd pick, and Jalen Wilson with the 51st pick.
I like this haul a lot, Metcalf. I actually I went on the Brooklyn Buzz podcast and shout out to those guys for having me on. And I was just talking about it. And the more I kept talking, I was like, man, this is a nice haul. This is really smart. And I admitted, I was like, I had Noah Clowney lower. I think me and you have talked about it. Like, we had Clowney lower on our boards, but if he ended up with the right team, I think it made all the sense for him to be a first round pick. And that's why I was like, okay, it makes sense. He got a green room invite. But going to a team like Brooklyn, where they're going to be patient, it looks like Mikal Bridges is going to be the guy. They got a lot of questions still, and they're probably going to be patient with their, not a rebuild, but I'm just saying you're going to start adding pieces to try to form an identity. I think Noah Clowney ended up in a great place where he can get either reps in the G League or be a rotation big early on, just because he's going to be, I think he's going to be one of these like low mistakes, but just makes an impact where it's like rebounding, shot blocking, playing smart. But I think he just needs a ton of reps and time and patience. And I thought Dariq going there was like an absolute dream. Like, the draft was over and I was like, Dariq ended up in a perfect place. Obviously the team surgeon performed Dariq's last operation, so they have all the intel in the world of that. And I just think that they're going to be very, very smart with him. They're going to be like, we potentially got a gold mine value here, but we can't rush him back to the court. They got two of the youngest prospects in this class in the first round. So I think they're thinking long-term. And I don't know. What did you think?
Yeah, and I had Dariq as my third-ranked prospect coming into the year, and then he just had the season from hell. So it sucks because the talent is there. He shot it way better than I thought he was going to, and he's over 40% from three. And that was the big question with him coming into the season. And then I think the injuries just kind of sapped everything else out of his game. So if the surgeon wasn't confident in the injury and the recovery, Nets wouldn't be taking him here. So that gives me a little more optimism with him. Like you said, they have all the intel because their doctor did the surgery. I think it's going to be a really, really good place for him to kind of step in and take it slow, because they do have some guards and some shooters where, again, he's not going to be thrown into the fire, and he's going to be allowed to learn to mentally slow down the game a little bit, to get used to the pace, the physicality, all of that. Noah Clowney, it wouldn't surprise me if he sees a decent amount of minutes early, because the Nets really struggled with size and rebounding off the bench. He provides both of those. I don't think you want to play him as a full-time center, but I think he could play alongside Claxton. I think he could play alongside Sharp, because he showed a willingness to shoot from outside, which is really important for young guys. I know the percentages weren't necessarily there, but the willingness, the confidence to take those spot up shots, I think that's a really good indicator for the long term growth. And then Jalen Wilson, I think he's going to be a solid role player for a handful of years. I don't think they're necessarily going to strike gold with him, but I don't think he's going to be a bust, because in a lesser role where he's just asked to be that physical defender, to rebound, to slash, attack closeouts, play a simple game on both ends of the floor, I think he's a really decent option as a kind of deeper bench piece.
I for sure could see Clowney playing alongside Claxton, almost going a little bit old school with like the too big mindset, because I think Claxton's your versatile, thinner bodied center that's just lengthy, can move around. He had such a good year last year. And I think Clowney his body's going to fill out more, and he could be that kind of smart player next to Claxton that all of a sudden, if that shot comes around, he's the floor spacer. Like, I hate throwing around Al Horford as a comparison, but I think the idea of him,
where like if everything goes right.
Yes. Like, not saying he will be at that ceiling, but I'm saying he might be one of those like smart player that him and Claxton next together is a really nice wrinkle in your offense. Wilson, I keep thinking he's gonna figure a way out to just stick. Like we joked on the No Ceiling show. I was like, when was the last time a guy that averaged 20 a game went this late in the draft? And I'm just fascinated. And I've talked to you and Nick. I think I talked to you and Nick on the air. I was like, do we think he's going to be more efficient now because he's not going to have to carry the load? And I do think that. Like, I'm buying that he might find a way to stick on this roster. And we might look up and just be like, Jalen Wilson's figured out a way to play 10 years in the league. And I don't know. But I think he's going to surprise some people. I think he just had a tough pre-draft process. Like, he didn't stand out in the combine. I think teams are probably worried about, like, okay, he wasn't as efficient with a heavier load, but now life might get a little easier when he doesn't have to do everything.
All right. The Charlotte Hornets took Brandon Miller with the 2nd pick, Nick Smith Jr. with the 27th, James Nagy with the 31st, and Amari Bailey with the 41st.
You start this one off, because I'm really curious to hear if I'm going crazy because I'm starting to really buy into this one, or if I'm a little on the fence. I feel like each time I see a name, I'm like, yes. Like, I don't know. It's just, I'm buying into the value. But am I crazy? You started off.
This was one of my more puzzling draft hauls.
Okay.
So Brandon Miller is a very worthy 2nd overall pick and even a 1st overall pick in the vast majority of drafts. I think Brandon Miller is awesome. The fit on Charlotte is incredible. We've talked plenty about him and Scoot. I don't want to go too into that. I would have taken Scoot. Whatever. I don't think Brandon Miller is necessarily a bad pick. Nick Smith Jr., we were getting a lot of buzz that he was going lottery range. He ends up falling a lot. That on the surface, I don't hate him going to Charlotte. It'll be interesting to see if they play him more as a 2 instead of a 1. I don't know. I think he's going to need a lot of time. I think it's going to be really, really interesting. James Nagy. I love James Nagy. I had almost a top 20 grade on him. Why are they taking another center after taking Mark Williams, after re-signing Nick Richards? How many of these rim running limited centers do you need? I don't like that fit for him. I think there were a lot of other ways they could have gone there. There are a bunch of wings on the board that they could have taken. And then Amari Bailey, similar thing to Nick Smith. Amari Bailey had a lot of fans in the pre-draft process. He was playing really, really well. I kind of am surprised that he didn't even go just a little earlier. And again, this is nothing against him. It's just, why are you taking him and Nick Smith Jr. in the same draft? It felt like a lot of redundancy and just kind of taking guys for the heck of it, and not a really clear team building approach.
The problem is I love the Brandon Miller and Najee picks so much. I actually love the Najee pick because
convince me.
I think it's the Richards part makes it a little bit of a weird curveball, but I'm also thinking, like, there's extensions that happen in the NBA where I'm like, you're clearly just kicking the can down the road. Like you might like him as a player, you might like him being around the organization, and you're just saying like, we want him around, we're not giving up, let's do this. But I also think like you get to a point where Najee is going to have a higher ceiling.
Yeah.
If you're buying like Mark Williams is our starting center from day one next year, should be, then I almost love the idea of like Najee is Mark Williams' backup. And you're like, okay, Najee's going to come off the bench. We know he's going to be young. He's going to be this physical, imposing big that plays good defense, lob threat, whatever. Then I sort of get it. If you're drafting Najee to just let him run in the G League for a whole year, I'm like,
which is what they've done with most of their draft picks over the last 5 years.
I like Nick Smith going there only because I've convinced myself of all the pressure is going to be off of him. And now he's like, okay, I'm clearly, LaMelo's the guy. I got Brandon Miller. Let me get some confidence rolling back. But the problem is I keep looking at the whole entire haul besides Brandon Miller. And I'm like, is this just a bunch of darts that you threw at the and which is fine, if you're going that route, because there's some big names. There's some value names. There's 4 guys here. I would have not been surprised if they all went in the first round on the night of the draft. Like I would have gotten it. Like there was buzz about Bailey sneaking into the first round. I'm like you. I'm still a little shocked he went 41st, but that roster also like right now, like book night.
Yeah.
It's
so like
it's now or never for book night. Like he's got to show something.
It feels like they're kind of giving up on book night, which okay, I kind of get. Gordon Hayward doesn't seem long for the team. Apologies if I know some of these guys are going to be free agents here, so apologies if I get them mixed up. Kai Jones doesn't feel like it's going to be a thing. Theo Maledon doesn't feel like they're kind of giving up on, which, okay, whatever. Cody Martin, Bryce McGowan would have liked to see
Rozier's
him get
not
more
a free
run.
agent. He's still in a contract.
I think he's got 1 or 2 left.
Yeah, so Rozier's there. It's a lot of...
Kelly Oubre sounds like he's probably going to be gone. Dennis Smith Jr.
Miles Bridges got to
get an awesome...
He's restricted now.
Yeah, gotta leave that there.
We'll leave that there.
But it's like you said, it felt like a lot of just, hey, this guy's kind of solid. Why not? It felt like a lot of just, hey, screw it. Why not? And, now that I have Nick Richards' contract up,
what is it?
It makes a little more sense. So it's 3 more years, $5 million a year.
That's not bad at all.
Last year's not guaranteed. So that makes a little more sense. If you think Najee's going to be a little more of a project, which, we both kind of do, then you're fine. So I'm coming around on the Najee pick. It's just...
But the Nick Smith one, now that we just ran through all those names, the Nick Smith one looks a little crowded. So they just got to make some moves. Like you just got to clear some stuff up. And
it just doesn't feel like they have a direction.
Yeah.
And they're just like, hey, this guy's interesting. Let's try it.
And the problem is, this is me coming all the way back around to draft grades. Right now, I'm like, how does this work? And in a year, they might clear up all that roster logjam. And now you're like, okay, this makes sense. You got some talent. So it's just one of those like wait and see. I like the haul. I just feel like it's a lot of like, this guy's top of our board. Let's just take him. This guy's the top of our board. Like, and which is fine. But I'm a wait and see. The
potential with all 4 of these guys is tremendous. And if they do hit, if they do turn into the players that a lot of people think they can, this Hornets team is going to look really, really good in a couple of years.
Yes.
My complaint isn't necessarily with the players themselves. It's more so just with the front office approach. And I hope I look like a moron in 8 months and these guys are really clicking and really starting to develop because they have the potential to. A lot of them face just really tough years. I don't know. It just felt like a disjointed approach.
And last thing I want to say, every Hornets fan listening, I'm not down on this class. I'm just saying this is a wait and see. Like we need to see what else happens. There's following moves that are going to happen that then it might make more sense. Because like I have a piece coming up and I reviewed it and I was like, Charlotte, I love what they did because it looks like they're on the way to building something. But now you got to clear up some space to let these guys play, get some confidence, get run. And right now it's just the roster. It's one of those, like, you're playing 2K, you're a GM, and you just get all of these rookies, and then you're like, oh gosh, like I have 20 guys on the roster, I have to get rid of some. So it's just like, okay, let's wait and see what happens with this team. And like we said, Oubre's looks like he's on the way out. Miles Bridges might be on the way out. They might get rid of a couple other guys. We don't know. It was just see what happens. Free agency is about to start. Things are going to look different.
All right, Chicago Bulls, they traded up to take Julian Phillips at the 35th pick. I love this move for them, personally.
Yeah, we won't be too long with this one compared to the Hornets. I absolutely loved it. They came into the draft, didn't have a pick, went and got Julian Phillips. I think that's fantastic value.
Yeah.
Really think this could be a move we look back in a couple of years and be like, very intelligent move by Bulls. I think Phillips just had one of those years where people were expecting bigger stuff, but I'm convinced it was the fit that didn't allow his strengths to kind of blossom. So I'm excited for him to go to that organization. I know the Bulls seem like the fans are like the Vuk extension, Lonzo news, which I can't stand. And it's just like,
don't worry, Andre Drummond, he's back, just exercised his player option.
What? I thought he was going to be a free agent.
Nope. He accepted that player option, so he's back.
No, you got to be wrong.
Adrian
Are you throwing breaking news to me?
Breaking news.
Woj bomb on the... Oh, my gosh. Every Mavericks fan was pumped today. Okay, thank you. That made no sense if they drafted Lively and we're going to get Drummond. But I'm pumped about Phillips. Makes some sense. And high upside.
Arguably really good best value. Wing defender in the class. Tennessee's defense, when he was on the court, they had a defensive rating below 80, and they were first in the country. And then when he was off the court, it jumped to like the 48th or so overall defense. He's good, and I think he just has way more offense to his game than Rick Barnes allowed him to show. So I love that pick. I think it's going to work out really well for them in the long run. Short run, probably not so much. 3, 4, 5 years from now, I think he's really going to be a solid player. Okay, Cleveland Cavaliers took Imani Bates with the 49th pick. It's fine, lottery ticket, whatever. I wouldn't have drafted Bates, but I get it, especially if they don't see Karis LeVert as a long-term option.
One of the things I'm so excited about for everyone that hasn't been to Summer League, but Metcalf, you're going to experience this. There's always one guy in the gym that the whole arena is trying to be he's the hero of Summer League.
He's going to have a 40-point game.
It's going to be between Imani Bates and Kai Soto, who's supposed to be on Orlando's, but it was Taco Fall. Like every time Taco checked in the game, the whole arena went up for grabs, and every time he touched it, the whole place was like, shoot it. Imani's going to be in the running for that, and Kai Soto. So on a serious note, Cleveland had one pick at 49. I get the gamble. I get it. Imani's incredibly talented. He has some freakish offensive weaponry. Probably a poor choice of words. I need him to be more efficient. He's not going to have that leash he had at Eastern Michigan. He needs to get the shot selection down, but the size, he has the tools to make it. I'm rooting for him. I hope we look back and this is a great success story. I just think he's going to need some time, and he needs to understand that he's not going to be the seventh guy in the rotation early on. He's going to need to prove himself for this organization, but I'm rooting for him.
Okay. Dallas Mavericks took Derek Lively with the 12th pick and Omax Prosper with the 24th pick. I really like what they did here. Being able to trade back 2 spots to get Lively and get off the Bertans contract. I just kind of wish they would have not made the Kyrie trade and still made these draft picks while still having, guys like Dorian Finney-Smith on the roster. I think this team would be a lot more interesting. But where we are now, I think both these picks made a lot of sense.
I think it was an outstanding night for them. It's one of those weird draft hauls where I'm like, am I drunk in love with this decision? I'm like, see, it's weird because I wasn't in love with those 2 names as prospects, but I think leaving the draft with those 2 for that fit, which is why we're always like, fit is everything. And Lively going to Dallas, great fit. OMP going to Dallas, I think, is a fantastic fit. They need that. But the biggest part is like getting rid of Bertans' contract cannot be understated. Like that is a humongous deal for them.
Yeah, and they basically ended up replacing it with Richaun Holmes' contract, but I think Holmes could even give them some minutes, whereas Bertans was basically at nothing for them the last year or so.
Yeah, and Holmes is like a year or is a little bit cheaper and a year less maybe, but
yeah, I think so.
I like it a lot. I just it's going to be interesting to see what other moves they make this offseason. Because I feel like the Kyrie extension's coming. I know that there was the report today he's meeting with the Suns. Seems like a very good agent move to maybe get an extra $5 million on that offer sheet, or I mean the offer. So I don't know, but I do like what Dallas did. I think it was very intelligent. Move back a couple spots, probably still get your guy. And we all thought Dallas was trading out of this draft, and instead they look like geniuses trading back a couple spots and getting Lively and OMP, and those are pieces that make sense around Luka. Like make his life easier with some good defensive players, and I like that.
Okay, Denver Nuggets took Julian Strawther with the 29th pick, Jalen Pickett with the 32nd pick, and Hunter Tyson with the 37th pick.
Some organizations just understand what the draft is all about, and Denver's proven it right now. They got our guy.
Yeah,
I love that. Shout out to all those mock drafts that had him Strawther going in the second round. I guess we're not that insane, Metcalf, but
yeah.
I just after the draft, I think the next morning I was like, okay, let me regroup and finally see where everyone correctly went to. And I just was like, Strawther and Christian Brown are going to be just perfect pieces to groom for the years to come. So, I really like what they did. I like Jalen Pickett, and I think Hunter Tyson was a good value too. Like I just think they did a great, outstanding job. It's not going to be the sexiest draft, but I think it's going to be one that just this keeps us contending for years. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like this is where you really build contenders for years to come, where it's like, obviously there's going to be free agency that kind of tears some teams away, like title teams, because you're getting pulled away. You need to replace them with guys that can almost come in and make an impact on a cheap deal. So I love what they did.
Yeah. The Pickett one kind of surprised me a little bit. People who are saying that he's going to fill that Bruce Brown role. No, he's not. He is not that defender. He is not that defender. Do not have those expectations for Jalen Pickett. I would expect him to be more of that Monte Morris role.
Yes. I was just going to say that. Yes.
And I think he's a better offensive option than Bruce Brown was, but he's not going to be that wing defender who's guarding up. So if those are your expectations, I would scale them back. Hunter Tyson, I was way lower on, but he can shoot the crap out of the ball. I would have, if I were them, this means nothing, obviously, but if they would have taken a swing on Max Lewis there, I think that would have been really interesting instead. But I get it. Or even a guy like Keontae Johnson.
No, I agree. The Tyson one was a little shocker, but I think he was just the name that was more popular after the combine with NBA teams.
Yeah, he had a really good combine.
Lewis one just continues to shock me, but we'll talk about him when we get to Lakers. But here's what you have to think about if you're a fan or just a Nuggets fan. Now all these guys they just added, we're getting Peyton Watson year 2, which everyone is just crazy high on.
So excited.
If he's on their summer league roster, I'm going to do a backflip. I'm going to be so pumped that he should be playing a bunch. So now we're getting Peyton Watson, that type of unique skill with Christian Brown year 2, who his confidence is going to be surging all off season.
I don't think he's ever struggled for confidence.
No, he's never. And he does pretty good at winning championships. So I just say that is how you build a roster, and you keep feeding your stars guys that can impact in unique ways. And it's just going to be really fun. Denver, I think they're going to be tough to beat next year. I really do. And I know Bruce Brown, the rumors
and they're getting older guys who can fill in now.
Yes.
When needed.
Which is weird how upperclassmen can help out. Gosh. All right. Well, I love what they did. We need to move on.
Detroit Pistons took Asar Thompson with the 5th pick and Marcus Sasser with the 25th pick.
I loved their draft. I loved it. Tell me I'm crazy. I loved it. It's a tone-setting draft.
I'm just lower on Asar, but the entire process, we were hearing them linked to Cam Whitmore and Asar Thompson. And they're kind of really similar players. But Asar gives you so much more in terms of ball movement, playmaking, team defense. So I get it. They still need shooting, but by all accounts, they're going to go heavy after Cam Johnson. That would help. Marcus Sasser will certainly help in that area. I love the Sasser pick for them. And I get the Asar Thompson pick. It makes a ton of sense. I don't dislike it at all. If he hits, it's going to be an absolute home run.
I'm just in disbelief that Ivy's going to take the next step forward. Cade Cunningham is going to shock some people this year.
A healthy Cade is going to
explode. I'm telling you, like, that is my guy this year. Like,
also, can we stop doing Photoshops that
oh my gosh,
make players like fat and look depressed and whatnot?
That's AI baby. AI. It's already scary messing around on Photoshop right now for myself. It's scary. I think Cade's going to be a monster this year. I think Ivy's going to take another step forward. And then I think Detroit is building the right mentality. Like Asar is going to be a workhorse. He's going to do everything he can to help out and get better. Sasser is literally going to be ready to go to war against anyone that's on the opposite side of the court of him. Like I just loved that addition. And I think a lot of, like, we go back to it again. A lot of people be like, they don't need another guard. Yeah, you do. You need depth. You need someone to come in after Cade and be a different type of weapon. And Sasser's a bucket, and he's going to battle all the time. So adding those two guys, year 2 for Jalen Duren, Beef Stew's still there. I just think Detroit's getting a little bit of meanness to them and mentality. And we didn't, like, Monty Williams is going to be perfect for this team as a head coach. So they're building something. And we can't, like Jarrett Jackson, assistant coach. I just love the direction they're going. They're close. They're close to make. Like, I would not be shocked if Detroit takes that step this year of, like, how we're talking about Orlando. Like, it's like, oh, they're right there. They're close. Yeah. And then we might look up in next year and be like, Detroit's getting close to that OKC excitement that we have. I just think they're on the rise, and I think they did a good job.
Okay, Golden State Warriors took Brandon Podziemski at pick number 19 and Trace Jackson Davis with the 57th pick.
Started off.
I love it. I don't think they. And obviously they, theoretically could have done better, but I think these picks were absolutely perfect. The AirPods picked, I think, surprised some people after the Jordan Poole trade. I think it makes a lot of sense. His scoring numbers and efficiency and versatility were bonkers this year. The rebounding for his position was absurd. I really, really, really like that pick. I think he'll be able to play some backup point, but mostly just off ball, even with the second or third unit when Chris Paul's out there running it. And just as a spot up option, I think it's really a good option. The defense will be the big question, but whatever. The TJD pick, this is just a match made in heaven. This is absolutely incredible. The stuff they're going to be able to run on offense is going to be so much fun because he is dynamic off of DHOs. He can, drive. He's an incredible playmaker, awesome athlete. The fact that he fell this far was shocking and perfect place for him to go because of their offensive system. And they have experience of having a fuck ton of success with an undersized center in Kevon Looney.
I think Dunleavy's been unbelievable since he got promoted to GM. I think he's doing an outstanding job. I know that might not be the popular opinion with a lot of Warrior fans. Like, I have some diehards that are like, what are we doing? Trade for Chris Paul? I was like, I think it's a fantastic move.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
You got to get the chemistry back. You got to get that mentality back for that team. And I think Poole, as talented as he was, everyone knows the elephant in the room. Clearly, they're moving on. I think Draymond's going to be back. And I love what they did with this draft. TJD, I wrote in my article going up next week. I said, this might be my favorite fit of the whole damn draft.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a match made in heaven for both because the playmaking just unlocked this year, and he's going to be perfect for that team. Like TJG is going to come in and all of a sudden have like Steph and Clay around him at times and be like, I just get to throw dimes to these guys and rebound and block shots. Like he's going to be an awesome addition for that team, especially behind Kevon Looney. Like it would not shock me if TJD's playing serious minutes.
I would bet he does.
I do too. And I'm telling that is an unbelievable value. I was shocked every pick he was not going in the second. I was like, what? And then I think there was maybe some navigation to get him somewhere, but
I think after a certain point,
yes,
in the night, it was like, all right, well, we're going here.
And for everyone listening, like when you see a name go late in the draft, there's always something going on. Yeah, there's always something going on the phone. So, but I think he ended up a great place. Pods is going to be an awesome addition for them because he gets to come in and learn from a pretty good locker room for a guard. He's going to be able to pick the minds of some great ones. I think I like him as kind of almost just that combo guard to start out early that, maybe you play him along Chris Paul. Maybe you kind of let him get his feet underneath him, but he's got the versatility. He's nasty too. Like he will go battle with anyone. So a really good just mentality shifting draft. Like they added 2 guys that are going to be ready to roll. And TJD is going to want to send a statement very early at Summer League.
Okay, moving on to the Houston Rockets, who took Amen Thompson with the 4th pick, and the biggest surprise of the night, Cam Whitmore with the 20th. Okay.
Houston, we have liftoff. Tyler Metcalf, start us off.
Amen Thompson pick made all the sense in the world. He was getting mocked there by us and other outlets since preseason last year. They now have the most athletic backcourt in the league and arguably the most athletic team in the league. When you factor in Cam Whitmore, it'll be it seems like they're going to be throwing the bag at Fred VanVleet, which, I do think they need another point guard and, just another person on that team who can pass the ball. That would be good for everyone involved. We got to talk about Cam Whitmore, though, because we were hearing that he was falling. And we were thinking that the fall was like to 9, 10, 11, 12 range, not to the 20s. So were you shocked by that, or did it kind of make sense? How do you like the fit? What are your thoughts?
I love Amen going there. Everything I've seen after the draft with his interviews and stuff, I'm like, this is perfect. Houston needed Amen. So I'm rooting for him. Whitmore, a little bit of both. I'm a little shocked. I'm also not. The problem is when you start getting that much noise about a negative, which is specifically the medical scare is the biggest scare for the draft. That is the one thing that can make you fall the fastest. Is every team is scared of a medical with a knee, which it sounds like it was. That is basically DEFCON 1 of
especially
scares.
For someone with that athleticism who relies on that athleticism.
That power, that frame. So because of the momentum and the amount of people I heard the medical failure from, I was like, I hope he goes top 10. Like, I was just like, I don't know. Like, this is the one that gets scary. And then when you get to a point where teams with multiple picks are passing you up, then it's an avalanche because every other team's like, they know something too. And, there's a couple spots I thought he was going to go. I thought he was going to go to Miami. I thought Utah might have taken him at 16 with their 2nd pick. But he ends up in Houston, which is probably a great thing for Cam. And I hope we look back in a couple of years and be like, this was the best thing for him.
Yeah.
We're going to find out some stuff about guys. I hope everyone's playing at Summer League. I wonder if if he's got the green light to play for them or if they're going to be cautious about it. But I haven't heard anything yet. So I like his fit there just because I think the expectations are going to be a little lower. The problem is Houston has got to spend money. The rumors are with VanVleet, it's Dylan Brooks. It's going to be wait and see mode. I think with Whitmore's youth and upside, it's play it safe, play it smart. Udoka is going to be one of those guys too. That's going to be like, whoever plays defense is going to play. Like we're setting the tone. So I think though, Houston, you got to be doing a backflip with this haul. And you got two guys that you were considering it for, you got in the first round. So
yeah. All right. Indiana Pacers left with Jarris Walker at 8, Ben Shepherd at 26, Mojave King at 47, and Isaiah Wong at 55.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Very underrated. I think one of those classes that won't get all the glamour, like one of those draft halls that won't get all the glamour and attention, but I think that's Indiana's building something, and I'm very excited about the direction. What about you?
Yeah, and I really like their first 2 picks. Jarris Walker was one of my favorite players that I've ever scouted. I just think that fit on Indiana next to Miles Turner with Tyrese Halliburton, with Mathurin is exceptional. Just the two-way versatility, the basketball IQ on both ends. I think he's going to be a dream for that team. Ben Shepherd, I was a little lower on, but same kind of general tier, and a lot of Ben Shepherd fans out there. I get it. Incredible shooter. The last 2 picks I get because I like both those guys. It just kind of felt a little redundant to what they already have on the roster, and the Ben Shepherd pick. Kind of would have liked to see them go a wing route, like a Keontae Johnson, like a Jalen Clark. But I think both those guys are really good. I really like Isaiah Wong. I think I had him in my top 45. I had Mojave King in my top 60. I think he's going to be a better shooter than he was this last year. And if he is, it's just value across the board. So I really liked what the Pacers did.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if they think Buddy Hield's on the move. That's why Shepherd was the addition. Imagine. Or Duarte. If they got rid of Hield and then you have Shepherd and Duarte, that makes some sense to me with the shooting.
I feel like Duarte's not long for them either.
I do too. So I'm wondering if both of those might be on the move. Well, I don't know. But Turner and Jarris together are going to be awesome. And then Jarris with Halliburton is going to be awesome.
The ball movement.
Yes.
The defensive stuff. Yeah.
Mathurin year 2 is going to be fantastic. I'm excited to see Nembhard. I think everyone's got to keep remembering about him. The second round was just weird. I was like, if you swapped it and Wong went first and Mojave King they got at the end, I would have been like, oh, what a night. And then I still like, you still got him. So I'm not complaining, but it is trying to kind of figure out like, okay, is Isaiah your third guard now, or do you see some higher upside? I don't know. And then Mojave King, I've always been intrigued with because I feel like we've talked about him before. The tape doesn't match the stats. Like he makes some really nice, impactful plays on tape, but probably another guy you're just going to see if you can unlock something with some G League run. But I like what they did. I think Shepherd made sense. That's just another piece to keep adding that, like maybe not high upside, but he's going to help you right away.
Yeah. Okay. Los Angeles Clippers took Kobe Brown with the 30th pick and Jordan Miller with the 48th pick.
I think Kobe Brown was the first. Whoa.
Yeah.
Shout out Bill Simmons pick. I understand what the Clippers did. They got 2 guys that offer some versatility that you're hoping can come in and help early. It's just Kobe Brown. I had a little bit lower. I know there was a ton of buzz about him. Like there was a lot of fans. I just wasn't. I was thinking like if he went early, it was going to be like late 30s. And then when he went in the first round, I was like, okay. And I think if I'm right, the Clippers were like down to less than 20 seconds. So obviously they're probably trying to see if anyone wanted to come up. But Kobe just had one of those freakish years where he just did everything and was efficient. So like, it won't shock me if we look back and be like, no, that was a great pick, but it's just, there's a wide range of results. I feel like. What about you?
Yeah. And I really like Jordan Miller. I think he does kind of just a little bit of everything. He's going to have to shoot it if he ends up sticking. The Kobe Brown one, I didn't really get. I was way lower on Kobe Brown. A lot of people at No Ceilings were significantly higher than me, and had him in this range. It was first off, I think it's an awesome story of a guy who is on the fence of going back and going into the transfer portal, and who actually got good intel and accurate feedback and ends up getting a guaranteed contract in the first round. I think that's absolutely incredible, and I love that for him. it also seems like Morris might be on the move from the Clippers, and I think Kobe could kind of slide in and fill a lot of what Morris does. My only hesitation with him is that I'm not sure I buy the shot. And guys who are that kind of old, who experience that big of a jump later in their careers, later in their college careers, I'm not sure how real it is. I'm a little more skeptical. What's dumb about all of my hesitations with this is if he went 5 to 8 picks later, I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. I can see the value in that. It's like, it's a difference of 5 picks. They like their guy. They got their guy. So why not? So from a fit standpoint, from an upside standpoint, he had an incredible year. So it's cool to see an older guy make those improvements in this game and get rewarded for it.
I completely agree. I have to give you a little bit of a Woj bomb because we're about to talk about the Lakers. Lakers are waiving Mo Bamba and not picking up the team option on Malik Beasley. Lakers plan to stay in contact with both representatives throughout free agency. It could find different deal structures for Bamba and or Beasley's return. I always think that's a comical last sentence because what are the percentages that they actually just be like, well, we're getting rid of you, but we'd like to have you back.
Right. We would like you as a plan XYZ in case our other priorities don't come through. So,
AKA Bruce Brown.
Yeah. Lakers. Jalen Hood-Schifino at 17, Max Lewis at 40. I hate the Lakers. I love this draft. I thought they did an excellent job.
I think Laker fans should be pumped out of their mind. I thought they did an outstanding job. I think they got 2 guys that could have gone in the first round. The Maxwell Lewis fall is just weird. Hood-Schifino, I thought Hood-Schifino, when the Lakers were on the clock, I was like, they're going to draft Hood-Schifino, and this is going to be a great pick and great value, and he's going to turn into a really nice piece. I like his game a lot. I think he's going to have a big year. I think Laker fans are going to be very excited to have him for the future. Maxwell Lewis was like 15 games into the year was on a freak of nature. Oh gosh, he was like putting up like 50, 45, 88 or something ridiculous off the top of my head. I don't remember, but I just remember looking at the numbers. I was like, oh my gosh, like when is this guy going to come back down to earth? So like, it wasn't just a 6-game stretch. He was doing it for like the first half of the season. And then teams sort of figured him out, but it's like late bloomer. He was on a tough team, had to kind of carry the load. I think he just got worn down and
another guy who's relatively new to basketball.
Yes. Like I said, late bloomer, started late. I just think he's going to be a stud if some team is just super patient. And I don't even know if he needs that much time, but I think you just need to let him get reps. Like he has some eye-opening offensive stuff, but he just needs reps of figuring out the other aspects of his game, like defensively and, the in-between game. And I just thought what a big haul for the Lakers. Like, obviously their fans should be very excited.
Team that had what I thought was one of the more confusing drafts was the Memphis Grizzlies, taking Gigi Jackson at 45 and Tariq Biberovic at 56. Where was Tariq on your big board, Rucker?
I'm not trying to make fun of everyone, but there was some amazing tweets after that pick from like big time draft analysts of being like, I don't have him on my board. Like
I think you and I were on the air when that pick was made, and we were both like, I have no idea who this is.
I think Maxwell texted us and said that's a made up name. And when Maxwell said that, we have problems. It's just a classic draft and stash. I feel like we get one of the wild cards every year where it's like he's clearly getting stashed. Played in Turkey, had some good numbers, but he's
not the story. What about Gigi?
It's the swing. I kept waiting to say who's taking him, and it's the swing. And everyone that was like, Gigi's not falling out of the first round. And it's like, well, no, he fell a while. Another example of just how the draft process can really, it could swing your skill either way or your stock either way. And fortunately, just Gigi just had some bad intel, and every report I heard wasn't good. I was like, oh gosh, this is going to be ugly. And then, I think we did the pod before the draft, and me and you were both like, I'd be shocked if he goes first round. Like I at this point. And I know one thing, he ended up in an organization that if Gigi doesn't figure it out quick, they will have plenty of other guys that they will let get an opportunity. But I think Memphis is also going to be great for him. I think he's going to understand, how tough it's going to be to earn minutes with that team. Like,
yeah,
they've got a lot of guys that are probably going to be interesting names to keep an eye on at Summer League that are fighting for minutes on this roster, like Jake LaRavia, Kenny Lofton after a strong G League year. Like, he's going to be ready to go. David Roddy, like, they've been adding some names. So Gigi's got to be ready to go to work. And the talent is awesome. Like, we've said that this whole time. It's just, he's got to go to work. He's got to get ready to grind. You're going to Grind City. You got to get ready.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a swing. It's a massive swing. I just kind of wish a different team would have made it. Because when we think about
it, you didn't like Memphis?
No.
Oh, I like it.
Oh no. And when I think about what Gigi went through this last year and what I hate saying, I sound like such a prick the way I'm talking right now, saying what he needs, like I know him. So I apologize. I hope it's not coming off like that.
No, you're okay. This is safe place.
I hoped that he would have gone to a more stable and mature organization, and I don't get those vibes at all from a lot of what's going on and coming out of Memphis. Hopefully Xavier Tillman and Steven Adams, notable, awesome locker room dudes,
Marcus Smart
have a good influence on him. Marcus Smart should help with all of that. So hopefully it's trending in the right direction. I really hope it works out for Gigi, because if it does, holy shit, is that team going to be a lot of fun. I don't know. It just didn't feel like the most ideal environment for him to get drafted into.
I'm still buying into that organization. I think the Morant stuff has painted a different picture than we're expecting. I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to bounce back and be fine. I think this is going to be a good place for it. Yes, I think I'm pulling for Morant. I hope it gets everything straight. I think Smart's addition is going to be big. Steven Adams is going to be good for them, obviously. I'm buying Gigi there. I think it's going to be all right. But I understand what you're saying. It's a good one. That's a good swing. 45, yes. You're taking that swing. That's a swing that connects, and all of a sudden you're getting an extension. But it's also a point where if you swing and miss, you're like, okay, we missed.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and to be fair, it's kind of similar to, I like Gigi more than Imani, but it's kind of a similar swing in that range of the draft where it's like, hey, if we hit, it is an incredible lottery ticket. And if it doesn't, then, oh well. Pulling for him, rooting for him. Moving on to the Miami Heat before I dig myself into a bigger hole. Jaime Jaquez with the 18th pick. This is another one where it's like if we did a post-draft big board, he would skyrocket up my board.
Yeah, we were talking about doing that. We should have done it. Maybe we still do. It's a great fit. I was scared when they were on the clock. I was like, they're going to take Jaime. It's a great fit. He's just going to be a plug-and-play guy. He's going to be perfect for this organization. And another smart team that just said, to hell with the upside. Give us a guy that's going to help right now. I love that. I just don't have any negatives about that pick. I think it's a great decision by Miami. And it's like one of those, like, even if it's not the upside pick and he's going to be around here for years to come, like, it's just, he's going to be a building block. I'm not saying a building block as like Bam Adebayo is a building block. I'm saying like Hawkes is just another piece of the puzzle that you're like, he's a Heat. He's on our organization. We're not moving him anytime soon.
Milwaukee Bucks took Andre Jackson Jr. with the 36th pick and Chris Livingston with the 58th pick.
Spoiler alert, I have a section for my draft grades, air quotes, grades, because I hate grades. And the Bucks are in the buckle up section because I feel like these two picks are just absolute chaos. I loved it. I think it's just kind of like, we know what Milwaukee's foundation is going to be, but now this is just kind of like can we find some unique path to throw at teams that's just like, what in the world? And I love the Andre Jackson pick. There's some medical rumors about him going to the draft where I was like, is he going to go later in the thought? And then he went there, and Livingston was just always the wild card I was fascinated by. What about you?
Yeah, and I think Chris Livingston, we both really liked him coming into the year, struggled at Kentucky, but I think he has a lot more upside to his game than he maybe necessarily showed this season. So getting him with the last pick of the draft, I think it's an awesome. Why not? Like if this works out, we might have a rotation wing for a long time. If it doesn't, oh well, we took a swing. Andre Jackson, just pure chaos, energy, athleticism. I just it's going to be a fun fit, and I feel like a low, just two really low downside swings that could pay really impressive dividends. Moving on to the Minnesota Timberwolves, who took Leonard Miller at 33 and Jalen Clark at 53.
I'm not talking. You're talking about this. How are we feeling?
Pumped, the friend of the program, Jalen Clark. Welcome to Minnesota. The way that Tim Conley was talking, it seems like both these guys are long-term plans, which is really encouraging to hear, because one of my big concerns with Jalen was the injury and the Achilles stuff. But it kind of sounds like both of them might be getting signed to actual deals and not just two ways. So there's a lot of team building flexibility and opportunities for these guys to really develop the way that in the ways that they need to and not rush any part of the process. Big story here is Leonard Miller. I hated it right when it happened, but I'm starting to slowly come around to it, especially at 33. I think at that spot, taking that kind of swing makes sense. If they would have traded up to the teens and done it, I'm not sure I would have been as optimistic. But my concern with this pick is I don't buy the shot at all. I don't think it's fixable in the slightest. Some do because of the touch inside. I just think the mechanics are so incredibly broken. But what we've said over and over and over again with Leonard Miller is that he improved so much throughout this year from where he was at this time last year. And that willingness to play a lesser role, to do the dirty work, to be a hustle player, to be coachable is so important for a young player who still needs to take those strides. So if he made this improvement in 1 year, who's to say what he could be in 3 years? Obviously, it's not going to be a linear improvement and development, but the optimistic view is that that's how it could skyrocket. I don't know how he fits on this team at all. I would be surprised if he really played for them at all this year, but even next year, it's just a weird fit. I think him next to Karl Anthony Towns in a vacuum is an awesome fit. I think long-term there could be some, he kind of takes over that Kyle Anderson role for them. It's interesting. It's definitely a big swing. I'm not sure what he does that Josh Minot doesn't already do. I don't know. I don't hate it like I did on draft night, but I'm not as over the moon like a lot of people are about it.
I've bought into it because I think we're starting to get like Conley swinging for Gobert is painting a dark cloud for T-Wolves fans. Yeah. I sort of am starting to kind of see where I think he's trying to go with building some pieces. I think he's just trying to get these.
Every move he's made has been tremendous.
Yes, it's just the Gobert one was just a whoa swing, and
like he's aced all of his like weekly homework assignments, but then just bombed the final. And still, I think he's on the way up. Like, I like this haul. I think this is a good haul. I think Timberwolves fans should be pumped about it. I think they're going to play Leonard Miller as the garbage man that me and you are hoping one team was going to do, where it's just like make an impact around the basket early on, and then maybe he's developing that playmaking thing like you're saying with Kyle Anderson and stuff. But he's got some ways. Go ahead. So, like, long-term, do you think the potential team build? This is a therapy session for me now.
Yeah.
So,
this is great.
Could there be some like Aaron Gordon-esque vision with Conley with Miller long-term, where he's being that versatile defender, he's crashing the boards, and then on offense, he's playing more of a minimalized role, but has the ball skills to do a little bit for himself, to cut, to finish around the rim, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, without the shooting.
Right.
And maybe a little bit. I'm not trying to.
Fine, it's not like Aaron Gordon's a knockdown shooter.
No, but I'm saying maybe this. I'm sorry if this is a little out there. Maybe a little bit more playmaking upside.
Sure.
Like you're removing the shooting advantage with Gordon for the playmaking advantage was Miller. I just think he's going to be lightning in a bottle where it's like sometimes you're bringing him in early off the bench or you're bringing him in off the bench to kind of go crazy. And then like Jalen Clark, I think is going to stick with this team because he's going to be your athletic defender that you're throwing out there to wreak havoc. And I think this is really smart value draft. Yeah. Like I like what they did. I know we weren't high on Miller, but we were also just like, where's the fit? And I actually never looked at Minnesota and I was like, this makes some sense to me. Like now, okay, like I get it. And good pieces. I really do think Conley's doing a good job. Like he basically got Mike Conley for D'Lo. The buzz around Cat's been very strange lately. So I'm wondering.
It's been that way for 5 years.
I know, but I don't know what's going to happen. But
neither do I. There's going to be a big move soon.
I have said forever, the moment they made that Gobert trade, I feel like him and his thought is like, if Towns doesn't work out, I'm going to get my picks back for Towns.
Yeah, and
we're not staying on that.
One of those guys is going to have to be moved soon, just because of the new CBA implications. Yes. They can't re-sign Ant and Jaden, and they could, but then the rest of the roster is nothing.
But also, like, think of the pieces now they have: Jalen Clark, Jaden McDaniels, Leonard Miller. You got some wild athletes with versatility that if they all click, that's going to be awesome. Yeah, just really fun. So I like it.
Okay, I'm all in now. All right, with the 14th pick, the New Orleans Pelicans took Jordan Hawkins. They needed shooting. He's the best shooter in this class. I like it.
I loved it. I'm sorry, Pelicans fans. I loved it. One of my favorite guys in the draft. I thought New Orleans grabbing him after all of the Zion smoke and trading up to go get Scoot smoke. I was like, smart pick. You're going to add, Trey Murphy is going to have now Jordan Hawkins with him. That's dangerous. Dyson Daniels, I think, is in for a big year. Herb Jones, like depth. You're building depth. Just get Zion healthy. Okay.
Oklahoma City Thunder took Cason Wallace at the 10th pick and Keontae Johnson with the 50th pick.
Yeah, I don't want to skip over. Knicks fans are going to be mad. You didn't have a pick. Shout out Josh Hart. OKC, I loved it. I really did love it. And it's not going to be, I wrote a very passionate part of my piece about what the Thunder did. And there was a lot of Thunder fans that were furious they drafted another guard. And I said,
I was so convinced they were drafting a guard. I just thought it was a different one.
I thought it was going to be Bufkin or Cason. And then I love the Cason pick. This team is going to be hunting for the playoffs this year. You need more than 5 guys for a playoff run. You need depth. You need someone to make life easier when SGA is going to be on the bench. You just need a rotation of different types of ingredients that you can throw. J-Dub was as versatile as possible last year. They played him at the 3. They even played him at the 4. You're getting Chet back. Josh Giddey does his thing. Now you need that defensive backcourt specialist. I know they got Lou Dort, but this team also could make a couple moves. I just absolutely love that addition. And I thought Keontae was a very, very underrated ad there for the Thunder. It wouldn't shock me if he sticks.
Yeah. Okay. Orlando Magic took
nothing. You had nothing? Come on.
No, I really like their draft. I was convinced they were going to take a guard. Cason Wallace is. This is going to sound like an insult, but he's as steady of a guard that you could have gotten with the 10th overall pick. He's an insane defender. The shot was very real this year, super composed on ball and just navigating inside. A really smart passer. I think he's going to be early on an excellent backup point guard with really, high, with a ton of upside. I really liked it. Keontae, again, the two-way versatility that he showed this year, he's going to stick in some form or fashion. Maybe it's with the Thunder, maybe it's with another team, but it wouldn't surprise me if he has, a lengthy NBA career. Okay. Orlando Magic took Anthony Black with the 6th pick and Jet Howard with the 11th pick.
I absolutely love what they did. Absolutely love. I'm going to let you run with this one because they got your boy Jet too. So I'm very proud of Magic fans out there. Shout out Orlando. a lot of people were like, wow, no ceilings is really high on Jet. And I was like, damn right we are. You came to the right place. So Metcalf, pump him up a little bit more. Just tell him why you like this class.
Yeah, I'll start with Jet. He had two awful ankle injuries, at least two, that happened about halfway through the year. And you can see a very clear separation in how Michigan's offense ran based on when he was healthy and when he was not. When he was not healthy, it was spot up heavy and it was post up heavy. And their offense went to shit. When he was healthy, they were constantly running him off stuff, allowing him to create off the dribble, having him run off pin downs and curl into the middle and making a lot of really high level decisions, whether it's to attack the rim, pull up for a jumper, make the pocket pass, make a kick out pass. He was a lethal shooter. He was one of the most dynamic offensive wings in the country before he got hurt. And then he got hurt and stuff kind of started to fall back a little bit. Everyone's going to reference the on-off numbers with him, and they're not good. But there's a lot that goes into that. And an injury on both ankles is a big part of that. So is he a good defender? No. Is he ever going to be a good defender? Probably not. But I think the offensive tools that he has are really, really special. They needed shooting. They got shooting. He also has size and he also has playmaking ability. So I think he's going to be able to run a lot of cool stuff on offense. The ball should be zipping all over the place with the passing of him, Anthony Black, Markelle Fultz, Franz Wagner, Paulo. They have a lot of guys on this team who should be moving the ball and getting incredible shots on almost every possession. The Anthony Black pick, this is something that I think me and you were kind of pushing for a while. I think on our No Ceilings mock, we nailed this too. A lot of people are questioning the backlog of guards now. I think it makes sense. I think I think he's going to get the kind of backup point guard spot behind Fultz, with a really good opportunity to overtake him. I know Fultz has turned into a good player. I don't think he's a long-term option for them. I don't think Cole Anthony is a long-term option for them. I'm still in on Suggs, but it wouldn't surprise me if they don't see him as a long-term option at this point. I do think him and Anthony Black could play together. I thought they had a really good draft.
The guards, there's going to have to be some moves made in the next couple of weeks with that backcourt. And I know Magic fans are very passionate about a lot of names they have on that roster when it comes to Fultz and Suggs and Cole Anthony. I think Anthony Black's ceiling is just higher. Yeah. And the thing that gets me the most excited about this haul, I absolutely love both picks. I think Anthony Black's going to be a stud. I really do. I absolutely think that was the right pick. He's just playmaking. The shot's going to come around, and he's nasty defensively. And the biggest thing, and I love Jet. I absolutely love Jet. I think that's a fantastic addition there. I really do. But the biggest thing now with this team, and the reason I'm so excited about Orlando moving forward, the pieces are really starting to come together, and you're about to have the potential for a future starting lineup that's going to be 6'6" and up. Like, that is scary to deal with. Like, you're going to almost have an advantage where you're having like Franz at 6'10", Paulo at 6'10" or 6'11", whatever. I feel like he always is getting bigger. And then you're going to have Jet around 6'7", Anthony Black around 6'7". You're getting big. Like, yeah, I just really like where this team's going. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with that backcourt. It seems like Suggs might be the odd man out, just because I'm trying to think, like, it would make some sense if long-term Anthony Black's the starter with Fultz as your sixth man, just because he's kind of a different, great feel. He had a great year last year, but I don't know. They got a lot of questions. It wouldn't
surprise me if they moved him at the deadline.
Yes. It's still early. We'll see what happens, but I love what they did. I think Orlando's getting very close. Like, they're going to be very fun this year. Mm-hmm. Very, very fun. I'm very excited to watch them. And I think they're close to getting to that path of everyone being like, we got to watch out for Orlando. Orlando's on the rise. Like, they're going in the right direction. You should be pumped up if you're a Magic fan.
Okay, with the 52nd pick, the Phoenix Suns took Toumani Camara. just solid depth swing here. Good rebounder, good defender. Shot made really impressive or important strides this year.
I mean, they signed Kyrie. They might need Kamara to play serious minutes. I think this team, you made the splashes to get big names. You have got to find some way to get cheap guys that are going to build the depth. Breaking is James Harden picking up his option to work together on a trade out of Philadelphia.
It just can that man do anything without being chaotic?
I've had so much Kyrie and James. Also, we skipped over the Sixers, and this is what Shams and Woj rewarded us for. The Sixers didn't have a picks, and I was about to say shout out James Harden, but oh gosh, this is gross. I guess that's the Clippers. Kamara, I like the pick by Phoenix. I think that's a low. You're trying to get someone that potentially you're like, he's our eighth guy. He's a versatile guy that's going to not need to score a ton, but he can help and impact. You have to get guys that can help if you're going to be all in on getting star power. We saw it last year with Phoenix. They need depth. So I'm interested to see if they're going to be a very popular team for a lot of guys that are like, I don't need money anymore. Let me go try to win one. And they're going to be at the top of the list. But I love this time of the year when we're recording pods and we get a bomb like that.
Okay, moving on to the Portland Trailblazers, who had one of my favorite drafts with Scoot Henderson at 3, Chris Murray at 23, Rayan Rupert at 43.
One of my favorite drafts. I absolutely love what they did. They're doing the right thing. I don't want to talk about Damian Lillard because me and you did a piece about this, and we said we would try to build through the draft because you have the opportunity to get Scoot Henderson or Brandon Miller. They got Scoot. I think they were doing backflips that whole night, and I loved the Chris Murray pick. Yeah, me and you talked that maybe they would go upside there, but I think it makes so much sense to just get Chris Murray and just be like, we had a good haul. Let's go on. And then getting Rupert as the sweetener. What a night. Big night for Portland.
Yeah, I don't think there's much else to add. They just great moves in terms of team building, and they got Scoot Henderson, who I think is going to be an absolute superstar. Just a little hypothetical here. If, Brooklyn was one of the teams that Dame mentioned that he would be interested in going to, Derek Clowney plus whatever, not a bad return.
You're cooking with some gasoline.
Obviously, there'd have to be more to it, but if we're just looking at young pieces to add to Scoot and, all that stuff.
That is a 2K trade if I've ever found one. And I would almost accept it just for chaos and fun of like, I'm going to build this out. But Portland is going to be in a very good spot no matter where direction they go with Dame. I really do believe that. I think if they go rebuild route, it's not going to be the vicious rebuild everyone's expecting because they've put themselves in a good position where like Scoot, Chris Murray, Shaedon Sharpe, solid pieces. Rupert is going to be an upside swing that in 2 years we might be like, Rupert is nasty defensively.
Yeah,
like he's a good piece.
If the shot comes around too, like, okay. Sacramento Kings, Colby Jones at 34, Jalen Slauson at 54.
I just thought it was great value. I continue to be very, very big supporter of Monty McNair throughout the draft. I just love what he does. So I think it's not sexy, but he might have gotten a rotation piece in Colby Jones. And I think Slauson could be a little bit of maybe not rookie year, but couple of years. He's a very nice piece in your rotation. I think Slauson has that playmaking, that feel, that basketball IQ that makes him very, very intriguing. But just a shot, if it can consistently be around, he can stick for sure. I like Monty McNair is just coming a very fun. I'd be pumped if I was a Kings fan. Like Nick should be praising Monty McNair. He's been fantastic for them.
Yeah, and he just kind of keeps taking good players. Crazy how that works.
Yeah.
Okay, weird. San Antonio Spurs, Victor Wembanyama at 1, Sidi Sissoko at 44. Just, really playing into that stereotype that they love the foreign guys.
Viva la France. I actually love that they got City where they got him.
Yeah.
I was a little shocked, but I was also like, what a great haul. Obviously, they're going to be winners with Victor, but getting City at 44, I was like, whoa, that's a nice little sweetener. So I like it. We don't need to go into detail. Okay, go Spurs, go. Good luck. Victor, stay healthy. See you in Vegas.
Toronto Raptors, Grady Dick at 13.
Did it shock you?
No. Well, yes, based on who was on the board and what, some of the intel we had been provided, it did surprise me that they went with him. I thought they would have gone maybe a different route, but just in a vacuum, the size fits what they typically draft. And then the shooting, the ability to attack closeouts, I do think he is a really smart defender. So the player in himself made sense. And so it didn't really shock me. It was just based on who else was on the board. I thought they were going to go a different direction. You hate it.
Yeah. No, I like it. I go back and forth. I actually really, really like it. It's another one where I'm like, what direction is this team going in? I don't think Siakam's going to be out on the way out.
I don't think so.
And then OG, I don't know. But I think that was a good pick of like, not the highest upside, but we know he's going to be solid. Like, and I like Grady Dick a lot. I thought forever Toronto was going to go backcourt, and then they added him, and I was like, okay, fine. Like, Scotty Barnes takes that next step. I like Grady Dick to be alongside him. All right, fine. Talk to me about Utah.
Okay, so Taylor Hendricks at 9, Keontae George at 16, Bryce Sensabaugh at 28. Big fan of their draft.
Okay, I was like, whoa.
No, I have questions about their team next year, but as a draft haul, it's tough to come away with as much upside as this.
I mean, it's my favorite haul of the whole draft. But there's also some other ones that have a puncher's chance to kind of sway my opinion. I just love the value Utah got all over the place.
Yeah.
It's also just me being higher on Keontae and me. Yep. Me and you have said forever, like if Sensabaugh went later, it would be a great value pick. And I think as your third first round pick, Sensabaugh is a great addition. Yeah, there's some questions now. Like they picked up Kelly Olynyk's option today, which I'm like, that's Danny Ainge has something up his sleeve for salary purposes.
Trade piece.
Yeah, so I don't know. The John Collins move made sense, but I'm also like, what are we doing? But we'll see. Okay, I just think it's smart.
So my only concern, who on this team is passing?
Keontae. when he's not scoring. No, it's a good point. They need to get a not sexy veteran point guard to just come in and run the show. Like, I'm throwing a name out just because we talked about him earlier, but like they need a Monte Morris, which like obviously he's going to be very desired around. But they need someone that's just like come in, no nonsense. Mike Conley is obviously not there anymore, but like Mike Conley would have been a dream for that. Like they just need to get someone. I don't know. Maybe was there something that they're staying with Sexton? I'm trying to track everything. The Harden thing still up on my screen and it's throwing me off. So I'm sorry.
I thought I saw that they were entertaining trades or entertaining moving him. But again, he's not a playmaker, or at least in the traditional sense. But that question isn't necessarily fair regarding the draft, because I don't think there was necessarily that guy at those picks where obviously they could have taken Casey Wallace at 9. They could have taken Jalen Hood-Schifino at 16. But I had Hendricks over Kaysen. I had Keontae over Hood-Schifino. So the picks make sense. I get it. Long-term thinking. I'm just talking about this year from a team building aspect and a play style. I'm just a little concerned what the ball movement is going to look like, but that's something that can be addressed in free agency or next year. So they're not looking to win the championship this next year. So it's whatever. It's an issue for down the road. Washington Wizards took Bilal Coulibaly at 7, Tristan Vukcevic at 42. I loved the Coulibaly pick.
I loved it. The only thing I didn't love about it, and I have to yell at the Wizards, is I was very proud that the no ceilings mock was 6 for 6.
Yeah.
And then Washington had to screw it up. We would have been 7 for 7, but it was ridiculous. Like, I understand. On a serious note, I think Wizards fans need to be pumped out of their mind, because you at least now have a new front office that is saying, to heck with this. We're starting the process. We're getting rid of some ugly stuff so we can at least find a direction to go in. Me and you are still buying Johnny Davis. I think he's going to be fantastic. Summer League. He's done it his whole career. He's had the year where he struggles and then he bounces back and figures it out. I am buying that he's going to be fine. Jordan Poole has had 900 jokes on the internet about how he's going to lead the league in scoring. I get it. I don't know if that's a great joke for someone to get traded that you think is going to lead the league in scoring, but I'm rooting for him. Coulibaly, I think, is a fantastic swing, because now they can play him. Let him learn through reps. Let him get experience. It's tough with these young guys because a lot of teams draft them to be patient, and they have the itch to play him, to develop him, but then it doesn't work as well. Like a team like the Thunder have done a fantastic job of letting guys play, and then that's how they've developed so much, is because they've gotten these reps. And I think Washington's going to be in a spot where this year they're going to say, y'all are playing. We're going to figure out what we got here. We're going to see who gets better, and then we're going to reevaluate and build each year. But I love the Coulibaly pick for them. I also think some people, sorry, Metcalf, some people were confused why they traded up a spot. And I think it's great of Washington to be like, that's our guy. We're going to get him. This is our first draft. We're going to get our guy. So I loved it.
Yeah. And, I'm sure Indiana was telling them that there was another offer to trade up to that spot. So yes. Indiana obviously wanted Jarris Walker. So they didn't want to risk losing out on him. Indiana played it perfectly. I love the Coulibaly pick. It's going to be a spot where he can be patient. They can be patient with him and really grow his game. So I thought they did a great job. Okay, that's all our draft thoughts. Let's just wrap up with recapping the NBA draft stock game.
Yeah, hit me with it. You already hinted at you doing better than me, and I'm already just really bugged about it.
I smoked you. I ended up with turning a profit of $1,449.59. You did well. You did well, just not as well. You turned a profit of $971.99.
I almost made $1,000. Come on.
Yeah.
Gosh. Okay, I need a check for that so I can take that to Vegas, put it on black. Who hurt me? Give me my biggest, or give us our biggest profit.
Yeah.
Like, who carried us, and then who hurt us? That's what the fans want to hear.
My three biggest profits were Jalen Hood-Schifino, who I made $775 on. Bought him for $1. I sold him 2 rounds ago at $578 a share. I made $185 on Jett Howard, who I got at $676 a share and sold for $909 a share. And then the other big one was Kobe Buffkin, who I made $470 on. Also got him for $1, sold him at $667 a share.
For next year, everyone listening, we are going to have, me and Metcalf have been talking about this. We're going to have official chart. We're going to figure out a way to let all of you guys play with us.
Yeah.
Track it, update it throughout the year. It's going to be really fun. So we've had some people reach out to us and ask if we could do that. And we were like, we were literally planning on doing that.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. We'll have a tracker throughout the whole year. Maybe we'll make some tournament. Whoever does the best, we'll give a prize. Like, we're very excited about this. Who hurt you?
My big losers were Leonard Miller, who I bought 200 shares of at $357 and ended up having to sell at $303. So lost $108 on him. Bobby Klitman ended up breaking even, got him for $1. Didn't get drafted, so had to liquidate. So nothing there. Baba Miller, I already covered him in a previous episode. Nick Smith covered in a previous episode. And Rand Repair lost $22 on, got him for $4.15 a share and had to sell him for $2.33 a share.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to yours. So you didn't turn a profit over $100 on more than one. There's only one player that worked out for you on.
So I was just a monster at just chipping away.
So Max Lewis, $56.
We might want to say that mine was more of an impressive haul. Like you had the biggest return, but I just grinded out the process.
You got guys who were slotted at 23 and went 21st. So
hey, brick by brick.
So
wasn't built in one day.
So like Max Lewis, you made $56 on. Bryce Sensabaugh, I guess you had two different positions of Bryce Sensabaugh. One made $73, one made $40. Julian Strawther, $37. Jarris Walker, $29. Duron Holmes, Ricky Council already covered them. Adem Bona, you lost $28 on.
He'll make it up for me next year.
Keontae George was your biggest loser. You ended up losing $69 on him. You bought him at $971. Had to sell him for $625. Colby Jones, you lost $2 on. Marcus Sasser, you made $28 on. Jordan Hawkins, you made $74 on. Brandon Podziemski, you had two different positions in. You made $54 on one and $85 on another.
AirPods, baby, that's a big one. I should have just bought more.
Jalen Clark, you lost $4 on. Amari Bailey, you made $9.50 on. James Najee, you made $2 on. You bought one share of him for $1, and he went for $2.23. But your big one, you should have bought more than 50 shares. Bilal Coulibaly, you bought at $2.60. You ended up selling him at $14.29. You made $484 on him. Or $584 on him.
Yeah, I should have gone way in on that one. Well, hey, that was a fun one. Next year will be more aggressive, but that was really fun. I'm happy about that. I'm excited for next year. We're going to talk about it in Vegas in person and plan something out because we want to make that an actual like fun competition for everyone. It's awesome getting those DMs and those like messages of just like,
yeah,
I want to play with you guys. All right, yeah, we're in. Let's do this. So we had a ton of those. We're excited about it, but.
All right, Rucker. This was a blast. Good. Plug away.
Lengthy one, but thank you guys for being here. I'm at Tyler_Rucker. NoCeilingsNBA.com. I'll have a couple pieces next week. Summer League preview. You can check out every roster. I'll have highlights on every name that I can process in my brain. I'll also have a draft review piece going up next week. And then we're going to Vegas. Me and Metcalf are going to have some fun. We're going to be watching, Leonard Miller do some dangerous things on the court. We're excited about it. So make sure you guys are staying up to date with our content. I'm sure we'll be having plenty of live shows and podcasts from Vegas. But Metcalf, thanks as always, and I'll see you next week.
Absolutely. And listeners, if you're out in Vegas at Summer League, come say hi. We'd love to meet you guys. Everyone have a fun and safe July 4th holiday weekend. But once again, I'm Tyler Metcalf. You can follow me on Twitter at TMetcalf11. You can find all of our merchandise at NoCeilingsNBA.BigCartel.com. All of our written work at NoCeilingsNBA.com. We got a lot of Summer League previews coming next week. Draft grades from Rucker coming soon as well. I will also have a FIBA 19 World Cup recap up on the site next week. It's all 100% free. Make sure to go subscribe to make sure that you don't miss anything that we put out. You can follow us across all socials at NoCeilingsNBA and on YouTube at NoCeilings TV. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and 5-star rating. Till next time, see ya.